Hey folks, in this video I'm going to build this bench, and it's 30 inches wide, 6 feet long, a little overhang and a power strip on the end. We are going to rebuild my workbench, which currently consists of a huge chunk of some PTFE plastic that belongs to a friend, my girlfriend, and this is the old 70s era table that the workbench is built on. So I am going to build a bench using these rigid 2x4 connectors, some self-tapping screws. Don't look that they're for metal. I'm sure some of you are already screaming, but I had these around and I'm trying to save money on this project, so we're going to do it on the cheap. Needed about 2 dozen wood screws, so I picked those up. I think I can do this project with 5 2x4s in total for the frame, and I have the remnants of a sheet of plywood. Well, it's most of a sheet of plywood. This is 6 feet off the 8-foot length. I built one of these last year for my miniatures painting, and it has been rock solid. I meant to do this sooner, but the garage has been a little bit of a mess as various projects have gone in and out. You all know what that's like. So I am going to stop talking, and the rest of this video is going to be vignettes of me moving through the various parts. On the bench I built for my miniatures, I just used 4 of them to hold up the top, or to hold the top together. But because there's going to be a shelf that I'm going to put tools and boxes of actual work equipment on, I wanted to make sure it had sufficient support. So that's why I went with 8 of them. These run about $5 a piece. The plywood, I think, is about $40. So unfortunately, this is not a super cheap project doing it this way. But if you already have some plywood, and if you are a little handier with woodworking than I am, and your joinery is a little better, you can probably get away without all 8 of the rigid connectors. Hey folks, I'm at the part where I am going to start with the basic assembly. Let me adjust this here a little bit. And I wanted to show you how I use these Simpson strong tie, and that's part number RTC2Z. They have this, I don't know, flange part that comes down, and slide it on this way. And for the top, I want to make sure that this leaves enough room for the cross piece to be level, and these are on perpendicular, I think. Yeah, perpendicular, because they come in at right angles. So using a scrap, make sure this is going to be flat, so when I put the top on it, there's no play or wiggles. And down here, same thing. I use a scrap of 2x4. So this is 12 inches from the bottom, and this is where the shelf is going to be. So I'm just going to screw these into here. I'm going to remove the placement blocks so I don't accidentally attach those, not that it's a big deal. And I'll come back when I have the ends put together. I've been at this for about an hour and a half, taking my time. I just got back from making tea to try to help my sore throat. And this is what both ends are going to look like. I'm going to screw these 2x4s in. Then up here, one of the 64-inch 2x4s on either of the brackets, and then one in the middle will be countersunk. I'll do the same thing down here. And then it'll be ready for the top. And I expect that's going to take me probably another 15 minutes if I take my time, if I can't get my helper to come out here and help me move things around. So if we take a look here, So far, so good. If we go to the back of the tape measure, this is 27 inches, so there's our 30 inches wide, and it's moving right along. Figured it'd be good to show this too. So to support the middle beam, I'm using an L bracket and a couple of long steel deck screws. We'll go through here, and we'll also bite into the 2x4 that's going to go across, and that way I have it affixed here, and then it's also supported by this bracket that I'm going to screw underneath. So I don't know, maybe it's not a perfect solution, but it's got a nice solid frame all the way around it. This is just to give the top something to hold on to so it doesn't bounce. So just to flip this over, show you what I'm doing. I'm going to take the camera off the mount. So a couple of 2.5-inch screws, and then I'm going to put a self-drilling 1.5-inch screw in here, and I've already done that to what is the top, and that feels pretty firm. So after this, the next step is going to be screwing the top, or the plywood, to the top frame. I know, it's a crazy angle. So the plywood is sitting on top of the bench now, and what I'm going to do is come in 1/2 inch here, so I make sure that I'm biting into the 2x4 that is here, but I'm also missing these other screws. And I'm going to use my T-square to, or drywall marking, I guess it's T-square. I left about 4 inches hanging over here, because what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a power strip attached to the 2x4, and I don't want it to get covered in sawdust or anything like that, so it'll just be an easy connection under here, and then get some caster wheels for this side, so I can just lift it up on that end and sort of move it around. So this is the final touch on this. It's a power strip from IKEA. It has a couple of 5 volt, 2.6 amp plugs for devices, such as the phone that I'm using to record this video. That is going to go on the end here. So this will plug into the wall, and then I need to add the casters. But aside from that, this is done. So, want to thank y'all for joining me on this project.